What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, March 20th, 2024, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now, it is 22:51 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we currently have a U.S. nuclear bomber flying over the Black Hills, and we also have a presidential doomsday plane that just took off from Tucson. It's extremely unusual to see a B 52 doing loops over the Black Hills at almost midnight. So I don't know what's going on over there. And then also pretty unusual to see a doomsday plane in the air this late at night. So our nuclear forces are still on high alert. Earlier today, there was another doomsday plane, and there were several nuclear war command and control planes in the air. And there were a lot of nuclear attack options broadcasted today. So I don't know what's going on, but there were a lot of emergency action messages broadcasted. Before I get into some of the headlines from today, I want to just remind you guys that Belarus has been massing forces on the border with Lithuania and Poland. And today I was having an in depth discussion about this with none other than the famous Lee Wheelbarger, the man, the myth, the legend. And we were talking about all the different forces that have been deployed near Lithuania. And he was telling me that there were as many as 80 train cars full of fuel that were moved to a training ground just 3 miles from the Polish border in Brest, which is in southwestern Belarus. It's a very small city. And why would you need 82 train cars full of fuel for training? Okay, each one of those train cars has about 15,000 gallons of fuel. Okay, so that's like having 80 gas stations at your disposal. You don't need that much fuel if you're just doing training. Okay. Also, Lee Wheelbarger was telling me that there were several S-400 missile batteries set up within just a few miles of the Polish border, which basically allows Belarus to cover all of Poland with air defense. Okay. So they could shoot down Polish fighter jets if they had to, if they wanted to, flying over Polish territory. Okay. So that's very concerning. And we had Belarusian open source information stating that there were several mechanized brigades being moved to the border with Lithuania, not far from Vilnius. And they moved the 19th Mechanized Brigade to Padalyani village. Okay, literally just 16 kilometers from the border with Lithuania and maybe just 30 or 40 miles from Vilnius. Okay, 16 kilometers is going to be exactly 10 miles. So that is very concerning. And this is how much equipment that brigade has. Okay, 62 T 72s, 219 combat armored vehicles. So that's like BTRs and BMPs, 78 artillery systems, and 14 air defense systems. And all of that was moved just 10 miles from the border with Lithuania. So that is very, very concerning. And how do we know that they moved there? Well, open source intelligence saw the tanks and BMPs being unloaded at a train station, and they've already set up a checkpoint at the border with Lithuania with a tank and a BMP guarding it. And apparently, they're checking people's identification when they come from Lithuania. So, this is very interesting. Here's a picture of this mechanized brigade in Belarus. Okay, so Belarus could be getting ready to go to war with Poland and Lithuania. They've also moved lots and lots of artillery to the border with Poland. Okay, so this is very, very concerning. We also have unconfirmed reports coming in today that apparently there's a huge number of NATO troops that have been arriving in the Ukrainian city of Cherkasy. Apparently, Poles, Germans, and the French have arrived in Cherkasy in huge numbers recently, and they're setting up command centers and barracks in the ground floors of schools while education takes place on the second and third floors of the schools. So The Ukrainians are saying that this is BS, that this is Russian propaganda, but I thought I would just report that to you so you could make your own decision about that. And apparently, the Russian Spetsnaz have been assigned to investigate NATO activities in Ukraine. And apparently, the Spetsnaz are going to be going to very remote regions and cities in Ukraine to figure out where NATO shipments are coming in from. So this is pretty interesting. Spetsnaz is sending infiltrators and spies into Ukraine to keep an eye on what NATO is doing in Ukraine. They're probably very worried that NATO is going to be deploying forces there. This update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the discount, you got to use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com. And the link is in the description below this video. But this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life. It includes over 2,000 calories per day, breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks, all contained within 6 rugged water-resistant buckets, and free shipping is included. So use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com to get $200 off or 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply. The link is in the description below this video. Free shipping is included. They also have a general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running various discounts. And to get to their general store, you just got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo when you get to preparewithNYPrepper.com at the top of the page, and you'll see their general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running discounts here. So use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply, and the link is in the description below this video. And we have some major breaking news coming in today that apparently a baby goat in Minnesota has tested positive for the highly pathogenic avian influenza or bird flu, marking the first ever U.S. case, according to the Minnesota Board of Animal Health. Okay, so this is the first U.S. case of bird flu outside of a bird. So this is very concerning. Now, experts are saying that this doesn't necessarily mean that it could jump to humans, but it was able to jump to a goat. Okay, so the first case of bird flu in the U.S. outside of birds. And China is building its military and nuclear arsenal on a scale not seen since World War II, and all signs suggest it's sticking to ambitions to be ready to invade Taiwan by 2027, a top U.S. admiral testified today. And the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said today during a national address following a phone call with U.S. President Biden that the Israeli military is preparing to enter the city of Rafah, but that it will still take some time. My guess is that he's going to wait until Ramadan ends, and then I think he's going to go into Rafah, so it doesn't make him look like, oh, he's against the Muslims, he's not sensitive to the Muslims, so he's going to wait until after Ramadan. And for the first time since the war in Gaza started, a significant deployment of Hezbollah forces and a significant transfer of heavy military equipment has been noted across the southern suburbs of the Lebanese capital of Beirut, with checkpoints having been established on main and secondary roads to check the identities of residents. So very interesting. Okay, significant deployment of Hezbollah forces and heavy military equipment, and they're checking identities of residents. So they're obviously concerned that Israel may try to go into Beirut, which I think is going to happen sometime this year. And Elon Musk says the world's first Neuralink patient can now control a computer and play video games just by thinking. During a live stream today on X, or formerly Twitter, Neuralink introduced Noland Arbaugh, a quadriplegic who has been paralyzed from the shoulders down since a diving accident roughly 8 years ago, and now the first human to ever be implanted with a Neuralink device. Since his recovery from the surgery in January, Noland has successfully learned how to play and interact with several computer games, including chess and Civilization, using his mind connected through the computer's interface, with hopes that Neuralink will eventually allow Noland to move his arms and legs once again in the near future. So this is insane, guys. This is the mark of the beast technology right here. Okay, Neuralink. This is absolutely insane. Okay, they've literally implanted his brain with wires, and he can now control computers by plugging things into his brain. I don't know exactly how it works, but I know that they take wires and they implant them into the brain. They use like very thin wires, like as thin as a human hair, and they stick them into the brain, and somehow you're able to then control machines with your brain. I mean, this is like something coming out of Terminator. This is just absolutely insane. So we need to be prepared, guys. This is the mark of the beast technology. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announces a rescue flight carrying Americans has departed Haiti and is expected to land in Orlando. And the Russian rebels are continuing their occupation of parts of southwestern Russia in the areas of Belgorod and Kursk oblasts. Today, they got into several firefights with Russian infantry and eliminated them all. They also eliminated a special unit of Russian Spetsnaz that was sent to eliminate them. And Russia is now having to bomb their own territory with Fab 500 bombs, which have a massive warhead of 1,000 pounds. And they're doing this to try to repel the Russian rebels, and it's not working. Okay, so they sent Spetsnaz in, they sent infantry in, they sent tanks in. They're using Fab 500 bombs now, and the rebels are still fighting. Okay, and we're hearing reports that the rebels have already destroyed 900 homes and apartments. And Bloomberg is reporting that the attacks by the rebels is forcing Russia to divert some of their forces from the front lines in Ukraine to fight the rebels. And here we have a picture of these rebels. This was earlier today, somewhere in southwestern Russia. Now, unfortunately, I can't share any footage coming out of Belgorod or Kursk anymore because YouTube was demonetizing my videos for sharing the actual footage of the shelling. So I cannot do that anymore. I'm sorry, guys, but just take my word for it. It's still going on a nightly basis. It's still ongoing for the last 7 days, okay? Daily basis, nightly basis, the shelling, everything. And here we have a video of Vladimir Putin from today addressing the situation with the Russian rebels. So let's listen to what he had to say.
First of all, I want to say that I'm very grateful and I admire the people who live in the Belgorod region and the other bordering regions. I'm very grateful for your courage, and we will do everything we can to support you, those who lost their livelihoods, those who lost their homes. There's an extensive plan of action, and we will make every effort to make things right. Now, there are various ways to ensure security, and it is never easy, but we will do this. And I won't go into too much detail right now, but we will do that. And it's also possible to talk about why they're doing this, and we certainly could retaliate in kind by shelling all kinds of infrastructure. We have our own methods and our own plans, and we will move according to those plans.
Wow, so pretty interesting. So he's saying that we could, of course, retaliate in kind by shelling infrastructure. And by the way, tonight, there were 10 Russian bombers that took off, and they're supposed to strike Ukraine any hour now. So potentially dozens of missiles incoming to Ukraine any hour, any minute now. And negotiations on Ukraine's accession to the EU should start by the end of June, according to the Ukrainian Prime Minister. And Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor, said that the Biden administration is not yet ready to announce the supply of ATACMS to Ukraine. And 18 Dutch F-16s have been made available for use in Ukraine for training. Among those trained are Ukrainian pilots. 24 other Dutch F-16s are intended for delivery to Ukraine. Part of that group is now being prepared, the Dutch Ministry of Defense reports. So they're going to get 24 Dutch F-16s. And the Baltic states, Poland, and Czechia have applied to the European Commission with a request to ban grain imports from Russia and Belarus to the EU. This was stated by the Lithuanian Agriculture Ministry. With the proceeds from grain sales, Russia is financing military actions and putting pressure on the EU internal market with these supplies, competing with the products of local producers, said Lithuanian Agriculture Minister Kęstutis Navickas. So very interesting. And the biggest agricultural protest in Polish history happened earlier today. Here we have a video showing what appears to be hundreds of tractors going down the highway somewhere in Poland. Look at that, guys. That is absolutely insane. Apparently, there were as many as 70,000 farmers, and they were protesting at over 570 locations, according to police estimates. And they're protesting the raising of taxes, and mostly they're protesting the EU's new Green Deal, okay, which is going to make life difficult for the farmers. And Canada is going to be transferring $1.5 billion in financial aid to Ukraine. And Spain is going to transfer 19 Leopard tanks to Ukraine. There was a fire in a high-rise building near the World Trade Center earlier today, located at 22 Thames Street, which has been contained. The cause of the fire is still under investigation, so that could be potentially terrorism. And the U.S. Coast Guard is investigating a series of hoax distress calls in the Baltimore area. There were at least 16 fake Mayday calls since February 17th. The suspect has not been found yet. So let me just play this for you so you can hear one of these Mayday calls.
Help. Is there anybody out there? Help. Anybody out there? Anybody out there? Help. Help. Is there anybody out there? Help. Anybody out there? Anybody out there? Help. Help. Is there anybody out there? Help. Anybody out there? Anybody out there? Help.
Why would anybody do this? This is just insane. I don't know why someone would do that, but apparently this is in the Baltimore area. And I want to show you the flight activity over Asia. At this hour, we have some type of a reconnaissance plane patrolling near the DMZ on the Korean Peninsula in South Korea here. And we also have a sub-hunter plane and an aerial refueler heading towards the Taiwan Strait. So that's some of the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back tomorrow with more breaking news, and I will be going live tomorrow night. So stay tuned for that. I'll probably be going live, 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., maybe 10 at the latest. So between 8 and 10, somewhere in there. And we're going to talk about everything that's been going on for the past week. There's been a lot of breaking news, and we're going to discuss Belarus in more detail, because I'm very concerned that Belarus could try to launch an attack on Lithuania and Poland. But I will be back tomorrow afternoon with another update. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon down below so you get notified when I post these updates. And until then, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere. Guys, the world is getting crazier by the day. We're on the verge of World War III. The U.S. is drowning in trillions of dollars in debt. Inflation is at an all-time high, and there's no end in sight. So you need to prepare your finances for the future with precious metals. Precious metals are a great way to protect your hard-earned savings and retirement against inflation and the uncertainty of the stock market. Also, precious metals are good to have for the purposes of preparedness, to be able to barter with people for essential supplies if the grid goes down. Every prepper should have at least a small amount of silver coins. The company I trust for my precious metals is Midas Gold Group. Text NYPrepper to 232425 for free information on precious metals. Midas Gold Group is 100% veteran owned and supports veterans through the Wounded Warrior Project. Midas Gold Group will work with you to convert part of your retirement savings into gold or to set up a gold IRA. And unlike many precious metals dealers, Midas Gold Group offers precious metals in small denominations, which is great for preparedness, so you have something tangible to use for bartering when the grid goes down. Precious metals have continuously risen in price over the past 100 years and are considered a safe investment. So text NYPrepper to 232425 for free information and to get started today.